In this video, I'm going to run down the entire storyline of Piggy, and I'm going to show you some Easter eggs and clues that will reveal the true identity of Mr. P. Welcome to the video, everybody, and today I'm going to go down through the storyline and the lore and the backstory of the Piggy game on Roblox. I'm going to show you some clues that's going to maybe reveal the identity of Mr. P and what possibly could happen in chapter 10. So let's start with the storyline itself. The true storyline is you as a player are a detective, a cop, you're a policeman. And what you're investigating is the disappearance of little Georgie Pig. Yes, Georgie Pig has been kidnapped. We don't know who the kidnapper is, and most people have been assuming it's Mr. P, but I'm going to show you that it's not. It's actually someone else. So Georgie Pig goes missing, and you decide to work on the case. The first place you go is the house where little Georgie was last seen. Almost as soon as you get there, as soon as you get out the car, you hear a noise and boom, you black out and you wake up in the bedroom because you got like hit on the head by something. So the pig comes and knocks you with a bat. You wake up in the bedroom and you got to escape before he kills you. Once you escape, you rush back to the police station and find it completely deserted. The announcement over the broadcast with your co-worker, who is Officer Doggy, which is actually based on a doggy character from Peppa Pig. Yes, if you haven't realized yet, this entire game is based on a children's animated cartoon called Peppa Pig. I'll show you the relationships between all the characters and Peppa Pig characters. So you try to escape the station with Doggy. You get out of the station, you get in your car, you start driving, you run out of gas, and now you're at chapter 3. The first scene in chapter 3 is you and Doggy in the car, completely out of gas, and now you're surrounded by a bunch more monsters, and this is where we first see Gazelle, who is the teacher. The Gazelle is a teacher actually from Peppa Pig as well. So Gazelle and Mom, Dad, and Peppa are all there. They're surrounding you, and the only way you can escape is you got to go through the museum. You both jump into the museum. You try to get through, go out the back door. You have to find, of course, all the keys and unlock everything while they're trying to kill you. You get through the gallery with Doggy. You both head out into the forest. This takes about 3 weeks to get there. Now, I don't understand why the 3 or 4 weeks it takes to get to the forest. Maybe the forest, why go to the forest if it's that far away? Why not just go back to another building? But you end up in the forest. So you're in the forest. This is where we first realized by finding a note that the monsters were actually your friends. So these were good people that somehow got converted. Doggy says, I'm tired. We need to take a rest. So you guys go to sleep. You wake up, you find Doggy's gone for the potion. This is the first time you find the bottle for the potion. So you wake up, you realize he's become evil and other monsters have shown up. If you look at one of the benches around the campfire, you see the potion beaker, the little bottle, it's empty. That's what Doggy drank that became evil. So now you know at this point in this chapter how everything is getting evil, but you don't know why. We'll find out later. A hallucinogenic drug, okay? They're actually hallucinating the entire time. They don't know what they're doing. They're like on bath salts or something. It's assumed through later clues that Mr. P asked him to drink it, but he didn't. I'm telling you, Mr. P did not ask him to drink it. After you escape the forest, you'll find a dropped walkie-talkie, and somebody's talking on the other end. He's asking if anybody out there. You answer the caller, and he introduces himself as Mr. P. He asks you to go to the school and help rescue one of his friends. The walkie-talkie proves Mr. P was near the forest when Doggy turned evil, but it doesn't prove that Mr. P made him drink it. Maybe he was trying to save the Doggy before he drank it. So that's just an assumption. Anyways, you go to the school and you rescue his friend. The friend is the bunny. The bunny was at the school to help rescue everybody else. However, whilst he was there, the teacher turned evil. Even though we've already seen the evil teacher in a previous episode, the bunny locked herself in a room to protect herself. When you come to rescue the bunny, you can see the bunny wrote notes explaining how the teacher was fine when she first got to the school, which the timeline gets kind of messed up right there, because it couldn't have been, unless the bunny was at the school at the same time you were going into the gallery, or before you were going to the gallery. That's the only way that timeline makes sense. After escaping through the sewers, now again, we see the beaker on the teacher's desk empty, so that's what she drank. So now we have two clues of how they're getting the hallucination drug is through some kind of bottled fluid that keeps getting laid around everywhere, and people are accidentally, I guess, drinking this. Alright, after you escape through the sewers, Mr. P finally meets you. It's the first time we've seen Mr. P, and thanks you for rescuing the bunny. So at this point, I'm convinced that Mr. P is on your side, like he's a friend, not foe. However, you start feeling faint all of a sudden, and the bunny rushes you to the hospital, and that's how the ending scene is. You're looking up at the ceiling as they're transporting you on a gurney. But look at this, at the top of this picture, there's another character, and that's the dog. Like, I thought he was infected. That's your police partner, the dog. So how did he get back into the story? So you're out for several weeks. You wake up in the hospital under attack by Barry, the doctor, who also drank the potion. Now, why a doctor would be so stupid to drink a potion he has no idea what it is kind of mind-boggling, but let's go with the storyline here. So the doctor's now infected. So you and Bunny must escape to the roof to be rescued by Mr. P. While escaping, you discover Mr. P has been funding, this is on a piece of paper in the game, has been funding to try and find a cure for the monsters. He previously tested the cure on the majority of the family and hoped nothing goes wrong. Now, people are assuming, oh, his cure is what's making them hallucinate. But I believe if you follow the storyline, they were already hallucinating way before this point, and he's trying to find a cure. So once you get to the roof, you realize that Mr. P's left without you. And you see a little note on the ground saying that he's left without you. And it even says this is for our own good. So is Mr. P now infected? We don't know. He could have been infected by his own cure, or he could have been infected by the person who is infecting everybody else. At this point, we don't know where Georgie is. Okay, we haven't even been looking for Georgie. We're just trying to save our own neck from infected animals. It seems like the investigation has turned from Georgie to who isn't infecting everybody. And if we find that person, that's probably the person who has Georgie. And maybe the infection of all these animals was to divert attention or keep people distracted from trying to find Georgie. It's like smoke and mirrors. So if you cause chaos, you're too busy handling the chaos to try and find the victim. So the next episode, you and Bunny escape to the metro to catch a train out. However, the monsters arrive before you can activate the train. The bunny looks fatigued and tells you she needs to rest. You vow to escape. After unlocking the train and finishing the map, you try to get the bunny on. She refuses and says she drank the potion Mr. P gave her. So the potion that Mr. P has is supposed to be a cure. So it's a different potion at this point. She didn't realize she would turn into a monster, but you never see her turn into a monster in this episode. After trying to convince her to come, saying that you'll take her to Mr. P to get the cure, she still refuses to come. And with a heavy heart, you realize you must leave the bunny and she promises she'll try to hold off the monsters while you're gone. So you say goodbye, you jump in the train, you arrive at the carnival. Now notice the carnival actually looks like Mr. P Carnival. Like it's his logo on it. So Mr. P owns the carnival. You're trying to get revenge on Mr. P, I guess. And when you exit the building, you find Pony and Zizzy, which are also based on characters from Peppa Pig. Pony thinks you're infected. Zizzy tells Pony no, the infected can't talk. Alright, you introduce yourself and ask them what are they doing here. Zizzy replies that they're looking for survivors, and she has a safe place, which you're gonna find it in the next episode. Foxy then walks up behind you, which by the way is still infected, and Zizzy tells Pony he is infected. Foxy then gets hit in the head by Pony with a wooden sword. Here's where it starts to get interesting. In this episode, at this last cutscene, you'll see a picture of Mrs. P. Dun, dun, dun. However, this picture on the far left of the female potato, maybe the girl, Mrs. P, is trying to save his daughter. We don't know. The player gets then taken with them after getting to the location. Pony notices, and this is now in episode 9, on the rooftop, that there's a safe place. Ziggy says that people inside will be surprised. You and the 2 others need to find a way inside the safe place because it's being blocked by the gate officer. You feed the gate officer to get him to open up the gate and you get out. Pony says he's trying to become optometrist like his father. But wait, who's Pony's father? Is there like a daddy Pony? Ziggy says he was a fencing coach who even taught his little sisters. All right, so is that going to be some new characters? Are we going to have a bunch of little fencing sisters running around the next map? We don't know. You let them know you are a police officer. She says that she is glad that they are safe now. Ziggy asks, how'd you end up in the carnival? She kind of references back an episode to the carnival, and you tell her you were looking for Mr. P to stop him. You tell him that Mr. P's been making potions that turn you into the infected, but I don't think this is real. I think you're just confused at this point. From the trash bin behind you, you hear a noise. So, assuming that someone's watching you. So you say, I'm going to go check it out, and Ziggy says she's coming with you. And then this is what leads us into chapter 10. So chapter 10 is going to start, and we're not sure where the place is. I think it's going to maybe be a zoo. You did go into, you're still in the city, so I'm not sure if you walk across the street and there's a city zoo there, or Ziggy is going to be with you. Now, what happens to the other character who wanted to be an optometrist? I don't know if she just disappears or she becomes infected. But the main antagonist here, I don't think is Mr. P. I think the main antagonist is actually Mrs. P. There is also another character we have not seen yet, and that character goes by the name of TSP. So you see a bunch of notes around the same filing cabinets throughout the episodes of a note from TSP. First, he had a note from Mr. P that he was going to cure people. He says, news of a cure has been going around, funded by Mr. P, which we already went into. After that, you see a note from TSP. We need to start recruiting soon. I'll start with my friend. Okay, we don't know who those friends are. The second note you find is a note from TSP. To those looking for safety, that is the worst place to look. Okay, so you're in the wrong place. TSP note that really got me was note number 2. They've got what we want at the hospital. This is right before the hospital episode. We get what we need, then we leave. There's also another note that says Doggy and Foxy got what is coming to them. TSP. That kind of confuses me because Doggy and Foxy end up getting infected. So TSP may not be working with Mr. P. He may be working against Mr. P. TSP, the character, may be the main antagonist of this entire story. Mr. P is trying to track him down, and you're trying to track down little Georgie. So who is TSP? And what is the relationship with Mrs. P and the entire story? Why was her picture announced in this game, and when will she come in? I believe in episode 10 we're gonna find Mrs. P is actually the main antagonist. She kidnapped Georgie as some kind of mother regret instinct because Mr. P and Mrs. P never had a kid. So she kidnapped her own kid, which is super dark, by the way, and that's who we're trying to track down. Mrs. P is infecting everybody along with TSP, which P could be for potato and S could be from Mrs. and the T, I don't know. TSP could be Mrs. Potato or Mrs. P. She's infecting everybody as a distraction because she kidnapped Georgie. And Mr. P, out of guilt, is trying to find a cure and stop her. And now you're working with Mr. P as the investigator to find Georgie. Let me know in the comment section if this sounds viable, if you think maybe I have it or I don't have it, or if you think Mr. P is actually a person that is infecting everybody and not trying to cure them. Until my next video, thank you for watching. Make sure you leave a like, hit that sub button and notification bell. And I am live every day as well. And remember, people, when you're trying to figure out really weird game plots, Stay lucky.